Troy Kimmel, been in Austin since about 1984, and from this area of the state, native Texan. And back probably about 10 to 15 years ago, originally, got on the CPAP, which I think at that stage of the game and where we were with the technology, best thing out there probably for what we had in the sleep studies that we had at that point. Frankly, as time went along, I got tired of the CPAP and began to talk to my ear, nose, and throat people about any alternatives that might be out there. The Inspire system is out there as well. I talked to my ear, nose, and throat doctor about that. They did a bit of a sleep study just to kind of make sure what all we were seeing. And my doctor came back to me and goes, "Now, exactly why did we get on CPAP?" He says, "You've got some sleep apnea, but it's relatively mild." And he says, maybe 15 years ago, the CPAP was the way to go, but he says now it's not. And he said, I would recommend that you probably could actually enjoy better sleep. And if you want to get off this, that's fine. And they said, let's go with this. And they very quickly recommended y'all. Cool. Immediately off the top. And I had also grown tired of the CPAP. I was tired of being tied down in bed, and during the night and having to have a hose hooked up to my head. And so I was anxious to do that. Make no mistake though, the CPAP, I have no regrets with the CPAP. The CPAP got me started on this. It was probably where we needed to go technology-wise a number of years ago. But guess what? Time to come off of it, in my opinion. And my ear, nose, and throat doctor agreed with that. I've been with y'all. I was a little uncertain because I think I was kind of used to the CPAP. But as we went through the process, y'all have been great. Have explained it. I'm not an easy patient. I'm not. I would like to know what's going on. I forecast the weather as a business, and part of that is being able to diagnose things and see how things are doing. And I want to be able to explain why things are going on. And it extends over to the sleep appliance. And y'all have been great with that. We've gone through all the steps and we've done what we need to do. We still got a sleep study to do that we've got to just double check on things. But I'm sleeping better than I have probably in a long time, including being on the CPAP, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah.
So you feel like you're even feeling better now than you were with the CPAP?
I believe that I am. I still think I was experiencing during the day, one thing that I kind of used based on what they told me, I think I still was a little bit sleepy or not drowsy, but still could manage to go to sleep in the middle of the day. I don't do that now. Since we started this summer and gotten off of the CPAP, left it cold turkey, and we went with the sleep appliance, making our adjustments, I feel like I'm sleeping better. And you look at the tools that we have available to you and the tool that I use, look at the Snore app, see how I'm doing. I'm impressed. I mean, all I can do is base it upon the sounds that I'm hearing at night, and I'm not hearing that snoring. I didn't hear that during CPAP. I wasn't snoring there, but it tells me that we're headed in the right direction.
So without your CPAP, you do snore then?
Well, not as much. I don't know. Guess maybe as much as I used to, but I never tried the Snore app on that without.
Yeah.
So, but using the Snore app on the oral appliance that we're getting settled into now, there's nothing. About the only thing I do, and I think it's more related to the fact I have allergies and things like that, a little bit of drainage in my head, basically, that occasionally I'll cough, but no snoring. When I was on the CPAP, the bottom line was, I again appreciate my sleep doctor before that recommended the CPAP. That was great for the time, but my whole thing was to get untethered from that CPAP. And whether it was Inspire or whatever it happened to be, I was ready to go. Frankly, I hadn't heard that much about sleep appliances. My ear, nose, and throat doctor, that was the first thing out of his mouth. He says, I've got the place you need to go. He said, and this is where I want you to go. And he said, I think you'll come back to me and we'll have a great talk. It's my second doctor at ENT that I have over there. I've had a long-term nose and throat guy, but not really someone tied to sleep studies and to this sort of thing. And I'll be honest with you, the minute I saw Ryan at Austin ENT, and after he saw the sleep study, he said, let's get you off this. He said, sleep appliance is going to do what we need it to do. And I questioned him a lot about it because I doubted it. I wanted, y'all diagnose things here. I'm the sort of person who diagnoses things on my own as well. Sometimes I'm not that good in weather, but I'm certainly not good in sleep apnea and stuff like that. But I wanted to check it out, make sure we were headed in the right direction. I feel like we are. And I thank him. I thank y'all because I think it's a job well done.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. What made you hesitant, or I can't remember the word exactly you used, skeptical? I don't think you said that. What made you, whatever word you used there, to kind of pause about an oral device?
Because frankly, I'd never heard about it at all. I mean, I just hadn't heard about it. And I said, okay, I've got to learn a little more about this. In a way, I'd heard enough about Inspire to know that apparently it does some good for some people. But we hadn't done really that much of a sleep study lately to know exactly where we were. And frankly, I think the technology changed in the time period. And so when I began to see that the CPAP was great 10 to 15 years ago, now we've got more tools at our disposal.
There's not enough knowledge about this out there because it is newer.
I'll be honest with Ben, in going through this, I'm sure people have some side effects. But let me point out one thing. My dentist, because I'm a grinder, my dentist already had me on a mouth guard at night. And you know what? I think it prepared me. He already, and when he heard that we wanted to do this with a sleep appliance, he said, okay, 2 things for 1. You can grind away on that thing, have at it, and it'll also keep you sleeping better at night. So my DDS was in on this as well, and he said, let's go for it. And I think the biggest thing that I have is I like to travel. I haven't traveled that much lately, but dang, man, I don't like packing up a CPAP and put it in a bag and have to travel with it and have to plug it in and have to have this and have to have that. Not traveling as much nowadays, but at the same time, it's made a big difference there. When I travel, it's so much easier now. And like I say, for those 10 or 15 years, loved it. And by the way, you wouldn't have wanted to try to take that CPAP away from me because I knew I was sleeping better. I just find now that I'm sleeping better plus. No sleeping during the day, not even any tiredness. I mean, obviously I teach at the university and other things like this, so I get on pretty heavy schedules. I've got some responsibilities, so there's some days that'll tire me out pretty quick. But I don't see that sleepiness during the day now. I can go home, and if I get a break during the day, sometimes I'll go home and watch a little TV. I'm not falling asleep on the couch anymore, like at one point that I might have.
Before you got treated for a CPAP, were you falling asleep?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I don't want to tell you how much I was falling asleep. I mean, it was enough to worry. Yeah, it was enough to worry me and just to realize. And besides that, I had people that occasionally, when I would be around them, when I'd spend nights in different places with people, who would say, damn, Troy, you snore. You're really snoring. And that got my attention and, of course, got me in to see Dr. Hudson at first back in the day. And he prescribed the CPAP, and we were off, and it made me feel better. No snoring. The Snore app has nothing on it except for me coughing every once in a while and getting up and, going to take care of business occasionally. But that's it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What would you tell somebody who's on the fence about, number one, looking into their sleep? And I'm asking this because a lot of the people that I talk to experience what you experience. They experience being tired in the afternoon to the point where they feel like a nap, but they don't think it's a problem. What they think is they need an energy drink.
Right.
What would you say to someone like that?
Check it out. Go investigate for yourself. And that's basically what I did. Go check it out and talk to some people about it. Find you a doctor. Come by Sleep Better Austin and at least talk to folks and at least don't do it because you don't think it'll work, because what I find out is it actually does work. Never really doubted that much after I did a little bit of my exploring into it. But bottom line, check it out. Don't let that opportunity pass.
How much better does it feel now that you don't feel that tiredness in the afternoon? Specifically with your work, has that affected you in a positive way, your ability to kind of get through the day?
I believe so. I believe so. I mean, since we've gotten this done, I mean, I was doing okay with CPAP, but I think I'm just doing better with this, and there's a lot less trouble involved with this. So I would say it is. I'd say all the way around.
If you can remember back to before you even had the CPAP
Yeah.
and compare that in the afternoon to how you would feel now, what does that comparison look like?
I think I'm just a lot more aware. There were times that I would get worried when I would be dozing. At times, probably I shouldn't have been dozing without going into a lot of details. But with bottom line, yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm more aware. I'm more on top of it.
Nice. One last question for you, then I'll let you go. Is there anything that maybe I'll pick a different one? If you had to sleep for a week without a CPAP or oral device, I'm trying to get to the best question for you here. What do you think life would look like if you hadn't gone and looked into your sleep and taken the steps you've taken from all the way from CPAP until now?
I don't like to think about that because personally, I like it a lot better now. Your question at first, if you had to deal maybe with not having the CPAP or not having the oral appliance, I wouldn't. I just feel like that this is where I need to be.
Yeah.
And we've got a little more adjustment to go, but I mean, it's a process. This doesn't stay the same, too. And so as a result, there'll be adjustments we have to make. But I'll tell you, when I can look and keep track of it on my Fitbit, when I can look at my sleep and see this, and that's one thing that I do every day. I can look at that and be able to tell, REM sleep and I'm getting my sleep. I'm happy with what I'm seeing.
That's incredible. So the data on the Fitbit looks good, huh?
I believe it does.